Hello, 7th graders. Today we are going to learn how to reflect an image on a coordinate grid. This is, I know it says 2.2 up here. We're actually calling it 8B because it's in our module 8 and it is our second lesson. Okay, so first we're going to investigate reflecting figures on a coordinate grid. So we're going to investigate a little bit first. Now this activity is meant to be done with a transparent paper, which is kind of like wax paper, if you know what this is, or what that is. It can also be done on your iPad. So notice there's two rectangles here. They say A, B, C, D. On this side, they are backwards, and they all have these little dashes. We're going to learn more about why they have those dashes on the next page. But I want you to trace this image on the left. Then on your iPad, you're going to cut it or cut and paste. I think that's this tool on mine. So now I have a second one. So here it is. You should be able to, in Notability, flip it. Okay, so I just flipped it and now it is backwards. Notice now the A lines up with the A and the B lines up with the B and the C and the D, but it's completely backwards. That is how a reflection works. That's what we're going to learn today. So real quick, some questions on this. When you reflect figures, what do you notice about sides, angles, and parallel lines? We're just going to write that everything is backwards. Everything is backwards or flipped. You might have learned this in a previous grade as a flip, slide, turn, I think is what they say. Okay, describe the relationship between each point below and the point A for 7 in terms of reflections. Okay, so if we were on this coordinate grid and we graphed B at -4, 7, that would be way up here. If I go to 4, 7 and call that C, C could actually be a reflection of B over the y-axis. So they could be reflections over the y. And then if D is at -4, -7, we can't see that on this graph, but that would be a reflection over the x-axis. We're going to write that in here. We're going to say reflection over y-axis. Okay, last one says a point with coordinates x, y is reflected in the x-axis. What are the coordinates of the image? Well, when it was reflected over y, notice that our x became negative or opposite. So if we reflected over x, y would be opposite. All right, so a reflection or a flip is a transformation in which a figure is reflected over a line. Sometimes this is over the x or y axis, sometimes it's over a different line. Either way, there is a line that the image flips over. A reflection creates a mirror image of the original figure. So it is the exact same, just everything is backwards or upside down, depending on how the line is going. So example 1A says, tell whether the blue figure is a reflection of the red figure. Notice it flipped over this line and everything is backwards. They are exactly the same distance from the line at every point. It is a perfect reflection. So we're going to say, yes, it is a reflection. All right, in example B, it is not backwards. This should be here, but it's way over here. So this is not a reflection. Okay, pause the video, tell me if 1 and 2 are reflections, and then play back to see if you got it right. 1 is a no, 2 is a yes. All right, so now we're going to practice actually making the reflection. So in example 2A, we have this red triangle. It is exactly 1 unit below the line. So we need to plot the reflection of A exactly 1 unit above the line. So that's going to be right here. We denote the new image with a dash. So on the first page, you saw one image just had letters. The other one had the letters with the apostrophes, that is showing us that, hey, this image has been changed. This is the new image. Okay, so B is 1, 2, 3 units down. So now it's gonna be 1, 2, 3 units up. This is our new B. Again, I add that apostrophe to show, hey, this has been changed. This is a new image. Okay, C is 3 units down. So we're gonna count 3 units up. This is my new C. And if you notice, if I make a triangle, it is a perfect mirror image of the red triangle. We're going to list the coordinates of those new points. The new coordinate of A is at -2, 0. The new coordinate of B is at -2, 2. The new coordinate of C is at -4, 2. All right, for example B, notice that A and B are both 1 unit left of the line. This should, because the line is up and down, the image will be a mirror reflection to this side. So instead of being upside down, it's going to be backwards. So my new A should be right here. My new B should be right here. And then C is 1, 2, 3 units. So I'm going to count 1, 2, 3 units. This is where my new C is. I make a triangle, and it is backwards. We're going to list the coordinates of those new points as well. A is at 0, -2. B is at 0, -4. And C is at 2, -4. All right, I want you guys to use this graph on the left here to plot these two images. So number 3 is going to be a triangle. This triangle is at -4, 5. Should we count -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. -4, 8, and -7, 8. So -4, 8, and -7, 8. So this is my original triangle. You are reflecting that one over y equals 2. So over this line. And then the second image is at 3, 3, 3, 5, 6, 5, and 6, 3. So 3, 3, 6, 3, 6, 5. And this rectangle will be reflected over this line. Okay, so make those reflections, pause the video, play it back, see if you got it right. Okay, this first triangle should look like this. And then this rectangle should look like this. Okay, so our last example is going to be reflecting images over the axes. So like we noticed in the investigate, when we went over X, Y became opposite. When we went over Y, X became opposite. You're actually going to have a summative project at the end of chapter 8 in which you will reflect an image over both axes into the two adjacent coordinates. So you will have to do this for your summative project. All right, in part A, we are going to reflect it over, let's start with the y-axis. I'm going to do this triangle blue. So my new B, this one is 1 unit away from Y, so now it should be 1 unit away. This is my new B. A is 1 unit, so I'm going to count 1 unit. This is my new A. C is 3 units, so it should be 3 units. This is my new C. Notice the coordinates are -1, 1, -1, 4, and -3, 4. So when we reflected over Y, X became opposite. All right, now we'll practice going over X. And I just realized we did this backwards of these, so. When we go over Y, X is opposite. So now we're going over X, so Y should be opposite. So we could just look at the coordinates. So A is at 1, 1. If I'm reflecting over X, the opposite of Y is -1. So my new point should be right here. And then again, if I'm reflecting over X, This B is at 1, 4. The opposite of 4 is negative 4. So my new B is going to be at 1, negative 4. Same with C. This one is at 3, 4. So my new C is going to be at 3, negative 4. And there we go. That is a reflection over the x-axis. You can write your ordered pairs down here too. 1, negative 1, 1, negative 4, and 3, negative 4. All right, I want you guys to plot this triangle in this grid, and then you are going to flip it over both the x and the y axis. All right, so here is my original. When we go over the y-axis, it should look like this. So this is my new A, new B, new C. And then when we go over the x-axis, it should look like this. So this is my new A, new B, new C. Now, even though we reflected this image twice, they're both from the original image, so both of the new images just have one apostrophe. We haven't changed it twice. Say we reflected our original this way, and then we reflected the red triangle, then we would use 2 apostrophes to say this image has been changed twice. All right, last example. You design a t-shirt using a pentagon and vertices P, Q, and R, and S and T at those coordinates. You reflect the pentagon in the y-axis to create the design. Draw the design in a coordinate plane. This would be the design that they drew. And these are the new images over here. Notice we went over the y-axis, so all of the x's become negative. So Q was at negative 2, 0, now Q is at positive 2, 0. R was at negative 1, 3, now R is at positive 1, 3. S is at negative 4, now it's at positive 4. So when we go over y, x becomes opposite. So we're just going to list out the new coordinates here. P is still at 0, 0. Q is at 2, 0. R is at 1, 3. S is at 4, 3. And T is at 0, 7. All right, last example. You design a logo using the figure shown at the right. You want both the x-axis and y-axis to be lines of reflection. Describe how to use reflections to complete the design, then draw the logo in the coordinate plane. You guys are just going to reflect this over x and y. So there should be 3 images on this graph after you're done. All right, one is going to look like this. And then one is going to look like this. So this one is A, D, B, C, and then this one is A, B, D, C. All right, please see Canvas for what the rest of your assignment is today.